to get a position. What I found to be a point, I recently had a player contact me from Chessable by email, and he's like, in your YouTube videos, the Palm Beach Chess YouTube videos, you're constantly talking about structure or the ideas bleeding off of the structure. And this game, as soon as I saw a particular position in the structure, I knew 100% I was going to win. And he contacted me because he's like, I want some of that. I want some of that when you just know I can just trade down and there's no risk of me losing here. I want that. So this was one of those structures that I was borrowing ideas from another opening when I played it, just like in the first game. And yeah, let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
See how it's interesting. All right, so I play e6 on move 1 because my plan is to actually play the Dutch. And the Dutch has so many of these nasty sidelines. Like I'm actually a big fan of Queen D3 here when I'm playing white, because if you play, a solid move like E6 or G6, you can actually play G4, and on takes H3, and theory says black's supposed to play G3 here because this is going to be too much of an attack, as white's just going to castle queenside and then mess you up.
Oh my goodness.
So this is just like one taste line in sidelines of the Dutch. And I mean, black's doing okay, but it looks scary. So I go E6 because if he goes E4, well, I did a French book for a reason. I can play it. And well, when they go C4, F5, and we have a classical Dutch structure. My opponent went knight C3, and then this interesting move F3. And I start saying to myself, I'm like, okay, the classical Dutch, the bishop goes on E7, but he's clearly preparing E4, and I can't stop that.
Okay.
So that makes me want to stop that just to be a nettlesome player, and I play bishop B4. And the only difference between this position and Nimzo Indian is the location of my F5 pawn. It would normally be on F7. And I have an extra move, and I'm playing against white's plan. So that just felt right. That's got to be the way to play. And my opponent goes bishop G5. Like, okay, castles. I can't stop you from playing E4, but grab. And C5 is also a strong consideration to slam the center. There's a finesse that's easy to miss after E5 here. C takes D4 because you got big problems if you take on F6 and I take on C3. And if queen takes, there's really no way out of this situation, regardless of wherever you put the queen. So, of course, I'm not spotting this in a 3-minute game. I haven't studied this position in depth. So to me, I look at this and I go, queen E8. Simple, effective, and my queen can and knight can move.
Right.
Easy enough. My opponent decides to take, and here was where I had a vision of what was going to happen for the rest of the game, because you just gave me the bishop pair in an open position. So knight F3, knight C6, and you're going to watch as I change this pawn structure over time to suit my needs. Bishop E2. So first, I'm going D6, getting to play E5. So the bishop will be in the game and useful. And in the meantime, this is going to be my good bishop. And at this moment, this is the key, why I say that there's ideas with the Nimzo Indian. I waited until he castled to capture, because I was hoping for him to play A3 as a request. That makes white waste a full move and waste time if he plays A3, because I'm planning to capture to ruin your pawn structure anyway. And now at this point after E5, notice what has happened in the position after D5. Good bishop, bad bishop. So structurally, we played for this over time, and as well, he has the double pawns that he's going to have to nurse forever. So in a lot of these positions, you want to try to jettison your pawn immediately or go for the bishop trade. Now, we'll keep it going. Knight E7. And the main reason I played knight e7 was to keep an eye on f5 if he was to play this move, instead of the slower plan knight b8, knight d7, knight c5, because that'd be a great square, but white does have a bit more development. So you need to be cognizant that you're not just in complete control. The other guy's got moves too.
Right.
So queen f7. That gives a tickle on the h4 knight. And this is where I was like, okay, I see where the structure is going, and I like what I'm seeing. Because I've seen types of Nimzo Indian games where the double pawns just lose in the ending. So we'll see how it happens. g3 to protect the knight. Okay, bishop d7. And my opponent plays a very good move. He understands he needs to get rid of the bad B in the situation. I can't refuse. I do not want to allow bishop e6. And that just, not worth it. So we'll clip. Rook f8, making, subtle threat to invade. So he needs to react to that. I say, okay, here's the moment. I'm going to make sure that your pawns don't change. You're stuck with this forever. And my opponent rushes into the endgame. And a lot of people, I think, look at positions like this and go, if you're too materialistic, if you're not focusing on all three advantages of chess, like Kasparov said, 3 advantages of chess: time, material, quality. Everybody knows material. I got an extra queen. Yay. Time. You can't make 4 moves. I mean, you give me 4 moves in a row at the beginning of the game with white, I'm checkmating you.
Right.
Time is valuable in that sense. And then we've got quality of pieces. And we've got equal material here, but the quality of the pawn structure for white causes some big issues. And let's see some maneuvering to bother in this position. So we got king f7. It's an endgame. Get your boy involved. King f2, g6, stay out. Keeping out of f5. Don't be in a hurry to play moves like g5. g5 could, in fact, lead to some potential problems because he's going to have a protected passer at that point. You want to watch out for these little things. So g6, and when he goes knight f3, what's his threat?
To win, or I guess knight g5 doesn't quite win a pawn, but
just knight g5 in general.
Okay.
So I just take it away.
Okay.
I'm just gradually taking away what he can do. So h4. And I felt like this is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Very committal to make a move like that. And now it gives me some ideas. Knight g8.
Yeah.
Well, you gave me a hole to work with. I'm going to work with it. Knight f6, keeping an eye on the e4 pawn. And the engine likes h5 here. And I don't know if it's a horizon effect issue or what, but I felt after g5, I keep you out. And your knight wants the f3 or h3 square, and that's not happening. And it gives me time to fun frolic. So takes, and I feel good about you're locked out. And when he plays g4, you have permanently locked yourself out. So let's just keep improving. My knight finally is getting to a good square. Watch out for knight c6, dropping the a pawn. So let's just defend it. And how can he ever get to my base pawn? Not really. My king can simply defend it.
Right.
And we're both at about 44 seconds here, 44 to 47. So to give a perspective of time.
But your position just feels like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. It's this, and you shouldn't be in a rush when you have a position like this, especially in a blitz game in the time scramble. Like, don't overly try to press it. Let your opponent try to beat themselves, because too often the winning position will be thinking here too much, and then they end up flagging themselves because they're trying to put their opponent away by force.
Right.
And it's better to just keep the tempo and keep that needling pressure. Knight a4. And speaking of needling pressure, there it is.
Yep.
There's one. When he goes king e3, I'm not taking on a2 because knight b5 gives white counterplay. There's no way for me to defend my c7 pawn. So with 24 seconds each, taking the time to eliminate counterplay. Only now am I taking on a2. Check. I defend. So it kills all counterplay. Getting my knight to the best square before continuing to press in the position. We got a runner. And
it was just so calm how you did that.
And you want to make sure that your opponent doesn't have any chances, and his pawn is much slower than mine. And that'll do it. So, nice little structural game as a break. And now I want to get to 3 games that hit upon one of my favorite openings. And man, when you do a course on it on Chessboy, you gotta at least enjoy it. And this is the aggressive Queen's Gambit decline, the dirty Janowski variation.